5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to another LMC Cast, and I'm not alone. I am Urtheart and today I am with ShadowFox.
Hi. Yes, it wouldn't be very much of a... Well, you can do a solo podcast, but...
I mean, I've done one or two in the past, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
entirely our
it's
style.
nicer to do it with friends. I mean, to be fair, most things are nicer to do with friends, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, such as discussions about... What is it today?
Well, this is kind of actually a follow-up, oddly enough, to a Radio Redux that we did quite a few moons back. And I say we did it because we were also joined by two other people for that recording. A Turbo and a Kevin.
We were, yes. It was a... Much conversation was had that week.
Probably one of our longest recording sessions we've ever done.
I give up estimating the time for recording on these things anymore. It's I think... The amount of times I've said, yeah, I'll be gone for an hour, and I've come back like 2.5 hours later, like, yeah, that was a thing.
That took a while. So yeah, today we are doing a slight follow-up to our greatest of all-time games. Specifically, we're going to be covering my 6 to 10, because in order to get my top list of games, I'm here to top 50. It was literally just like...
Yes, I could barely do a 5 without it changing halfway through, so...
this is the problem. The further down the list I go, the more it changes quite rapidly. Basically, what I did was I just listed every single game that I could remember playing and enjoying, and started like moving them up and down and going like, well, I enjoyed this one more, yada yada yada. And the top 10 were pretty solid. After that, it starts moving a little bit, but I figured my top 10... I need to put my Discord on silent. My top 10 are... fairly rock solid. My top 5 have been pretty much there for months and months, basically.
You've often mentioned your top 5, and I don't think that's changed in the time that, well...
to be honest, I don't think it's changed in years.
No.
I believe I was asked it in one of our meets back in 2012, and definitely number 1 through 3 were the same.
Yeah, I think they've... At least the time I've known you, I've at least heard you mention those games several times, so I can only imagine they have been of somewhat importance to you.
Yes, and to be fair, so are my 6 to 10. So let's just jump into it. I'm afraid it's just mine. I didn't think I'd force ShadowFox to torture himself to think of 5 more. And also, I think mine were the only ones in any kind of order. Yours were just... Everyone else's were just like, these are 5 of my favourites.
It was these are my 5s of the favourites at the current period of time, because obviously when games get re-released, or just when you think to yourself, oh, I really fancy playing this right now, it suddenly kind of creeps up the list a little more. It's like, ooh, that one right now.
Yeah, sometimes. I feel like, because mine also have influence in how I think about game design and stuff, so it's a little bit different. Yeah. But I will say, out of the 5 that we're going to talk about in this session, or 2 sessions, depending on how long we blabber on for, one of them has recently had a re-release, as in within the last few months. It didn't put it any higher up on my list, it just so happens to have had one. And the other one's got an update coming out later this month.
Oh.
Which was announced last year, just nobody knew what the release date was. We'll get to it when we get to it.
So yeah, because I've happily got your list here, so I'm at least vaguely aware of what you're going to talk about, but how much I know about them is varied extremely, shall we say.
I'm going to say that I think you've played 2 of them. I know you've played one of them because you played it with me briefly. Yes,
no, I've played 2. I'm aware of one fairly moderately well, and the other 2 are one I can assume some information about, and the other one I don't know anything about, so...
So let's start with one of the ones I reckon you don't know anything about. So I did actually mention this in my top 5, that my 5 and 6 are both from the same franchise. If you need a reminder, my number 5 was Final Fantasy 9. So it's another Final Fantasy game. But probably not one most people have heard of, because it was released for one format, is a sequel to one of the rare spin-offs to the games, and is the one that nobody references. It is also technically a sequel to one of the mainline games as well. So, but that is Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Rift of the Grimoire.
So what kind of style of game is this one? When would it come out for as well? Seeing as it was it mobile?
It came out for the DS. Its previous incarnation was a Game Boy Advance title.
Okay.
And its previous incarnation to that was a PS1 one. But it is known as, it was known as an SRPG, or a strategical RPG. So it's still turn-based. However, the whole thing happens on like a grid. And the idea is, depending on the types of attacks you do, they're more effective if you go behind your opponent and stab them in the back. And they've got more of a chance to dodge when you're hitting them in front. But also your spells hit, certain target range of squares, so you have to make sure you hit it in the right area. And I think in the older ones, casting took time. So you would cast your spell on an area, and then you'd have to hope it went off before the enemy moved, because otherwise they could just walk out of it.
So when you say grid-based combat, are we talking open grid like XCOM, or like you've both got like a 3x3 grid to move around in, or you're on your own side of the board?
Think XCOM in terms of you both share the same grid, but it's all still squares. So think of it this way. Imagine like it's isometric kind of game. And you're basically just placing stuff in those squares. So you'll have like buildings that go up and down the terrain. You would have you have different landscapes, and you have different types of terrain. So you can have water, bogs, lava, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's basically grid based. Think something like your standard D&D map.
Yeah, XCOM is grid based as well, so it's fine.
Is it? I thought it was a bit more free-roam than that.
No, it's basically just a bunch of lines that you go along.
Yeah, I guess so.
Basically grid.
But yeah, I definitely like strategic RPGs. Disgaea, I think, was originally influenced by the original Tactics back on the PlayStation. But what I love about A2 is just the variety and customization it has with everything. So, what's different to other Final Fantasy games? First big one, you make a team of characters. You can actually have a team of like 30, but only 5 of them can go into battles at the same time. But then you can have other people going off on other missions to do stuff while you're doing the like core missions you want to do. The other part of it is, well, first of all, you have different races you can play. So you have your humans, you have the Viera, which is where they originated from, the bunny girls, who are also in 14.
Of course, mention of those from you.
You have the Numo, who are like little dog people. You have Moogles, playable Moogles, and they're my favourite design of the Moogles, I will say. You have the Banga, who are scaled, burly men and women. And I think it's law that the women look so much like men that most people mistake them for men, and they get very offended. A2 introduced 2 new races, who are the Gria, who are like winged demon girls, kind of. They've got horns, they've got wings. They're very good, but at the same time, they're very limited in the jobs they can do. I'll get into that in a minute. And then I can't remember the name of the last race, but they're basically pigmen. But they were actually introduced in Final Fantasy 12. So the Tactics games are all based in the land of Ivalice. You had Final Fantasy Tactics, then Advance, then 12, and then A2. A2 is kind of a pseudo-sequel to 12, because you get some of the playable characters from 12 as party members. The other big thing I like about Final Fantasy Tactics as a whole series is I really like the way they let you customize the characters, though, because what they do is they have what's known as, in this game, is the type of job system it uses, where as you learn skills in a job, you unlock other jobs, and you can equip whatever job you are at the moment. You can learn those skills, and that's what you those are the main skills you can use. But you can also equip another job where you've learnt skills to use on a secondary basis. So let's say...
So you're going to work two jobs, it's just like real life?
Kind of. So let's say you've learnt to be a white mage and a black mage, and you've chosen to be black mage as your main job. You can still equip your white mage spells. They just won't be as good as if you were a white mage, because your skills have been tweaked to favour offensive magic rather than healing magic. But let's say you have learnt how to be a white mage and a paladin, and you've learnt, white mage and a knight, and you've learnt enough skills from both that it unlocks the paladin job, which is a mixture of the two.
Okay.
So while you're learning paladin, you can equip either the knight or the white mage skills, and they'll both be pretty decent, because paladin's a mix of both.
It's a complementary skill rather than a...
But to be fair, you can mix and match it how you like. You also have like 2 additional skill slots. One is like a reaction skill, which is, well, it can be anything that's like reactionary. So you can have stuff like return magic, which means you can cast the magic back that's just been hit at you as long as you know it. Or there's counter, if someone hits you, hit them back.
Yeah.
Simple as. But there's even ones that's like just dodge arrows. That's one of them.
Nice.
I think it's dodge projectiles. It's like
just to avoid ranged attacks.
Yeah, as long as they're from your front, I think. Yeah. It's not that overpowered.
So long as you know when they come from, yeah.
Yeah. But you can mix and match all of those from any job. The only one you can't select is, like, whatever core job you are, that's your main skills. But it gives you a high amount of customization, and one of the other things I quite like is all the races have, like, unique jobs that they can learn. So humans, being the most versatile race, can learn blue magic, which is just you learn enemy skills as long as you get hit by them, because they're so adaptable. Moogles are the only ones that can use guns for some reason.
Okay, I guess tiny triggers or something.
It's because they're the more mechanically minded race in the game, I believe. They're also the only ones that can be chocobo knights, but that's because they're the only ones small enough to be able to ride on a chocobo without crushing them, which again kind of makes sense. So the game has like a structure in which you can. It's got so many little mini sections. Like you can enter into bidding wars to win control of certain areas so that it's easier for you to walk through them. There's like 300 mini missions, of which some of them are on the main path, some of them are just for fun, some of them are stupidly difficult. But like I've completed this game twice now, and I just love it. I love the art style, I love the music, I love the gameplay systems, so much so that I'm working on a TTRPG version of it, which I might pitch to Square Enix. Who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, this is by far, out of all the strategy RPGs, this one's my favourite. As much as I like the Disgaea series, this was the one that cemented my love for it, really. And I didn't start trying the Disgaea series until after I played this game. I do like the Game Boy Advance one, which is very similar to Tactics A2. I'm not as much of a fan of the original PlayStation one. It's good still, but it's a lot meaner and doesn't quite have the variety because you only have humans as the race in that one. But yeah, it's one of those games I'd love to say have a try, but getting a hold of this game is a nightmare now because it was a DS exclusive.
Yes, I mean, who knows if that'll ever return its head with such things on with Nintendo's consoles and Switches. If they
I can see Square Enix doing like a collection of the Tactics series, because there's only 3 games in the series. There's 3 main games in the series. Tactics A2 had a numerous amount of spin-off games that came off it, which were all tower defense games called Crystal Defenders. I quite enjoyed those as well, to be fair, but 2 of those are exclusive to the Wii, and the one that isn't exclusive to the Wii was on like PS3 and 360. So 360 one might still be playable, but yeah.
I was like, my knowledge of Final Fantasy is so non-existent, mainly because whenever I look at a game I go, these all appear to be set in entirely different scenarios, so
and they are. That is kind of the point.
But some are sequels, like you say, and some are spin-offs of those sequels, so I get.
Well, but to be fair,
at least with this combat style, it sounds like this might be one of the ones I could be at least moderately interested in.
What I would say is that although Tactics A2 is kind of a pseudo-sequel to Tactics Advance and Final Fantasy XII, that's more just because it's set later in the timeline. Most of the story has nothing to do with those games. You could perfectly enjoy it without playing any of those games, because it's its own thing. It just has references to those games. It does have... it's one of those ones where it's like you get more out of it by knowing those other games, but it doesn't stop you playing the game.
No.
It gets you like Easter eggs and lore tidbits, basically.
You understand more of what they're saying.
Yeah. So for instance, like one of the optional characters you can get later in the game is a Moogle called Mont Blanc. And one of the Moogles that you get at the start of your game is one of Mont Blanc's brothers, Herde. Herde's a bard, Mont Blanc's a black mage. But why is Mont Blanc important? Well, Mont Blanc was actually one of the main characters in the previous Advance game. He was kind of the sidekick to your main character. But he was so popular that he also became a cameo in Final Fantasy XII, where he was the leader of the guild. Because, well, the whole idea was, in the first game, Mont Blanc is trying to become one of the most powerful guilds to be a force for good. So obviously you succeed, and in 12, he's the leader of that guild.
He's made it. That's quite nice.
Yeah, and then in A2, he's just coming to check up on his brother, and is like, "Oh, I see you need help. Do you want? Just call me if you ever need my help, and it will become part of your team."
Hey.
And fun fact: Mont Blanc also makes a cameo in one of the Final Fantasy mobile games that I played as one of a major playable character, which is sadly not playable anymore. So. But he was one of the main characters they brought back for that. But yeah, how you play this game, I don't know. Like, Tactics Advance is... I don't believe it's on Nintendo's service yet, but could possibly go on there, because A2's a DS game. We'll have to wait and see if that ever gets re-released, but fingers crossed, we'll see something.
We can hope.
But yeah, that's my number 6. Another Final Fantasy game. What are you going to do? But... and if you want to listen to the music to it, get Final Fantasy XII soundtrack, because it's all the same music. It's going to make it easier. Yeah, it's because it's all again set in the Evilis area, so they reuse quite a lot of themes throughout them, especially for like all the similar cities they go to. It definitely has some original pieces, but I mean I love that soundtrack as well, so it's all good. But yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Rift of the Grimoire. It's a long title. The fact that technically it's a spin-off of a spin-off, because it's Tactics is a spin-off of the Final Fantasy, Advance and A2 are a spin-off of the original Tactics, and then itself has spin-offs in the Crystal Defenders game, so it's like, how many spin-offs of a spin-off can you get, I guess?
Oh god.
Final Fantasy is a mess if you want to track anything.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad that they don't require you to play all the other previous games.
Also, I just realised you kind of shortened it down to FF Tattoo Rot G.
Yeah, I think it is generally shortened to FFTA2 Rotga.
Rotga.
Yeah. But, yeah, most people just call it FFTA2. I should also like to point out, it is officially called A2. It's supposed to be Advance 2, because it's a sequel style-wise to the original Advance. But it wasn't for the Game Boy Advance, so they made it A2 instead.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so that's my number 6. My number 7, I think, was something you guys guessed might be on my original top 5, because, to be fair, it was close.
If it's the one that is on the list you said, then yeah, it was one that we, considering how often you do talk about this series, at least.
I mean, to be fair, it's a legendary series, and I believe even Terry Pratchett quotes it. So I think the quote goes something like this. For many years, people have tried multiple different ways to combat the forces of evil. Prayer, fasting, goodwill. It wasn't until the invention of Doom did anyone think of a double-barreled shotgun. Yeah, Doom. But which Doom? Because there's 5 major entries in the Doom franchise, essentially. You've got... Working backwards, you've got Doom Eternal, which I have audibly noted my dislike for. You got Doom 2016, which is very good. I'd say that's probably second in the listing, probably. Then you've got Doom 3, which is divisive, and I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, as long as you're not going into it thinking it's like every other Doom.
Yeah, I think that was the first Doom I properly saw played. It was at a friend's house, so yeah, that was a very different...
Thing is, if you play it as like a survival horror game, it's much better.
It doesn't feel like so gung-ho as the others.
No, but I think that kind of works in its favour. And bear in mind, it was really made as a tech demo for ID Tech, so I would say that the expansion pack for that is a little better, certainly for the action side. But yeah, Doom 3 is still in my good books. It's just, it's not top ones. And then you technically have 3 games. You have Doom 1, Doom 2, and Final Doom. Final Doom is just a worse version of Doom 2. Worse version is the wrong word. Is a fuck you version of Doom 2.
Oh, really? Wow.
Final Doom was very specifically made... It was... So it was a group of fans who were making a fan mega WOD, which is basically the WODs are basically fan-made mods for Doom. A mega WOD would be a level pack that has as many levels as Doom 2 does, which is 32.
Okay.
So there was a group of fans, I think called Evolution or TNT. I can't remember which one, but they were making one, and basically it went, look, this is too good, so we're just going to hire you to make this official.
Yeah,
fair enough. And then they made another pack called the Plutonium Experiment, and they bundled both of them together into Final Doom, which was ported to PC and PlayStation. But yeah, those levels are very much for like super fans who hate themselves.
Oh, they're quite difficult then. They're extreme.
Oh yeah, they're really super difficult. I don't think I've ever actually finished Final Doom, to be fair. And then, so we're left with Doom 1 and Doom 2. And let's be honest, Doom 2 is just a better version of Doom, so my entry is Doom 2.
No, yeah. So I don't know how much time I've actually spent with Doom 2. I mean, I think I would say everyone has played Doom, but considering our age now, that's probably not true. I imagine.
No, I'd say probably older generations are missing out slightly, but this is the game that recently had a re-release. Its software package Doom 1, Doom 2, and technically Final Doom, plus a brand new set of episodes into one convenient package, which if you already own Doom 1 and 2, you get for free.
Oh, that's
on
nice.
Any format. So I got it free on both PC and Switch. And now it's in a nice, neat little package with, some mod support and all that nice fancy stuff. But
it doesn't
take it
with you wherever you go.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think I originally bought Doom 1 and 2 because they were like 99p each.
No, yeah,
and it was like, I have spare funds, sod it. And then it's like, oh, so I just get this for free for owning the other two, which I bought at 99p each. Sure.
I mean, it's not like you can't play Doom anywhere already. Just turn on your fridge, your pregnancy test, your microwave.
Your Nintendo Alamo now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because they've ported it to that already. But yeah, I mean, the joke is everything can run Doom, but actually it's quite a good bench test. It's like, how smart is this smart thing? Can it run Doom? And then there's the other extreme of, can it run Crysis?
Yeah. Well, it's just impressive to show how games were very tightly built back in the day.
But yes, Doom 2, as I said, it's better than Doom 1 just because of slightly tighter controls, better enemy variety, only included one new weapon, the double-barreled shotgun.
Oh.
Yeah, double-barreled shotgun's not in the original.
Oh, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah. I didn't... I mean, the first game had some very simple... It was very kind of simple rotation of weapons, if I remember. It was...
Pistol, well, knuckles, chainsaw,
pistol,
shotgun, chain gun, rocket launcher, plasma rifle, BFG.
Yeah. Got a very,
That's pretty much it.
Very simple scaling method there.
Yeah, and to be fair, what's interesting is the double-barrel shotgun is a bit of a weird one because obviously it fires slower than the single shotgun, and actually it's a bit overkill for basic enemies, where it's kind of useful because it's about as powerful if you get up close and personal as a rocket launcher, but obviously there's no splash damage. So you can kill a Pinky in one shot. Yeah.
That's usually like, it's basically a shotgun, but you take all the damage it would do over this type, compress it into one shot, maybe a little bit more, hide in the spread.
This is the thing. I think the double-barrel shotgun has a bigger spread than the single shotgun. So at like mid-range, you're actually better off using the shotgun or ideally the chain gun.
This is all to do with weapon balancing and scaling, which I think which is always a fun thing to experience with any game.
But yeah, Doom 2, technically 30 levels plus 2 secret levels. The 2 secret levels are a nice homage because they're based on the first and last level of the first episode of Wolfenstein.
Really?
Yeah. I have noticed in the recent re-release they have censored it. So there's no more images of Herr Hitler and there's no more swastikas in there. Which is maybe a bit of a shame, but...
Yeah, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on anything why.
I mean, I think it's just... I think partially it's because they wouldn't have been able to release it on Switch without those changes.
Probably,
and they've tried to make it a universal version.
Rather than...
But yeah.
Usually it's the... Well, we'll say it's usually the German version that needs to have...
They've actually been a little more lax on those rules. Like,
really?
To be fair, like, you still probably shouldn't do it just for the sake of doing it. But, like, generally they're fine with you having swastikas and stuff in as long as you're not glorifying the Nazis. Yeah, so if you couldn't have the Nazis a playable set of characters. You got to make them look like the bad guys still. But we're really going off topic.
No, I think it was Battlefield Bad Company that allowed you to play as a friendly Nazi.
There's some exceptions, like there's one game I know where you actually pay you technically play a Nazi officer, but he's not fighting the Allies. He's fighting for a general good cause against a unified enemy.
Yeah.
Not humans, let's go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doom 2's level design in general was just a bit of an evolution over Doom 1. You got the extra enemies, you've got your chain gun zombies, you've got the variations on the Baron of Hells, the Hell Knights. I'm kind of glad they changed their design in later ones. I think the Mancubus don't turn up until Doom 2 as well. Mancubus are definitely one of the more iconic enemies. But like Doom 2 set like the future for the rest of Doom as well, so... Yeah, it's a classic. You don't need me to tell you that.
No, we've all
dabbled in Doom 2.
Yeah, but at least everyone I'm sure is aware of Doom.
Yeah, and obviously this is still available as with the recent re-release, pretty much every format you can think of, and you can probably install it on any device you can get your hands on these days.
I have a question. Is it in the App Store? Because it's quite possibly in the App Store.
I'm pretty sure it's got to be in the App Store.
This is the DOOM. Doom.
Yep. Doom.
Doom. There it is. There's the Doom. Doom 2 as well. Yep. Of course.
Yeah. So the new one is called Doom 1 plus Doom 2. What's quite cool though is like they now have like official ranges of mods, which includes like one of the chapters they officially included was John Romero's Sigil, which was like a vaguely recent thing he made, which was like, oh, a brand new episode for Doom that one of the original creators, John Romero, made. And then on the mod menu, the Sigil 2, because he made that even more recently, and it was like, yeah, we can support that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a long history of additional creators to attach to it.
This is the thing, like Doom 2 still has like a lot of people modded for it. We've mentioned on the show before about the Ramp project that I've played. They've got a new series out this year that I need to get to at some point. But this is the thing, like there's been a recent sequel to the Pirate Doom mod, which I want to give a try because the Pirate Doom mod was actually quite good. It's like a total conversion mod, new weapons, new HUD, new enemies.
Nice. It's like taking a base game and just running with it is kind of a nice skill to have. And again,
well, you have to remember that the source code for Doom 1 and 2 was officially released, so
yeah,
a lot of people have done a lot of stuff with it. I mean, heck, most people probably listening to this on Radio Sega will happily know of Sonic Roboblast 2, which has then had Sonic Roboblast 2 Kart come off of that, which has then had what's the Eggman one called? The recent one.
No.
We'll figure it out.
The only thing I think about is the Eggman Hates Furries fan game. That was a while.
No, there was like
a bunch of boss battles.
Yeah, there was like an Eggman Racers game that was released very recently, which is like a total conversion of the Sonic Roboblast 2 racing game, but it's like a dedicated racing game in the Doom engine. So, all of this stuff has stemmed from these two games that really just have let people run wild. But Doom 2 is by far... Doom 2 gets onto the list because it's the one that I remember playing the most, I remember loving the most, and is the one that it's the one I want to return to. Like, as much as I enjoy Doom 1, and I have replayed it recently, Doom 2 is by far the one I fell in love with. Like, I remember the Icon of Sin. I remember the level where you specifically have to run behind the Spider Mastermind to get the Cyber Demon to shoot him, and then the two have a battle while you just bugger off and wait for them to finish their stuff.
And take on the winner, I take it.
Yeah, which is almost always the Cyber Demon. It's like the Cyber Demon is the boss of the second chapter in Doom 1. The Spider Mastermind is technically more threatening because it has a chain gun, so it can just hit scan you from whenever, and you can't dodge its bullets. But the Spider Mastermind is by far weaker. Like, I think you can kill it in like 2 BFG shots, whereas the Cyber Demon needs 3. So,
Yeah.
No, it's like it's just one of the, and if you haven't ever played Doom 2, yes, it's a bit old, yes, it's a little bit clunky, but it is worth it. I think it still holds up. It's one of the few games where I'd say, with the modern source ports and stuff, it still holds up. And really, like, so many things you can find online to mod it with these days, it gets very silly.
No, yeah, I'll agree with that one. Certainly worth at least an experimentation and poke around with, even just for. I mean, I can't imagine it takes too long to run through the game.
If you know what you're doing, but I think if Doom 2's 30 levels, mate, it's not short.
True. I don't know how long to beat Doom 2.
Like, I reckon I can run through it in 3-4 hours if I was rushing on an easier difficulty.
They're saying a main story median play time poll of almost 400 people, about 7 hours.
There you go.
So yeah, which is longer than most campaigns you'll get nowadays.
I think part of that is just trying to. A lot of the levels are about exploring, so you need to find what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you're going to buy Doom 2, you buy the Doom 1+2 collection now, and that's got Doom 1 and its 4 chapters, which are about, I'd say they're about an hour and a half each. You've got Doom 2, you've got Master levels for Doom 2, which are horrible and mean. You've then got Evolution and the Plutonium Experiment for Final Doom, which are even meaner. There's then something like No Rest for the Wicked, which is an episode I didn't even know existed that got released, which I've never played before, but from what I've played is also dickish. You've got John Romero's Sigil, and then you've got the 2 new episodes they made for this new collection that even have new enemies in them, which is called Legacy of Rust.
I'm looking forward to someone backports like Doom 2016 to Doom 2.
Oh, that's already been done.
Oh, that doesn't.
Yeah. There's already a mod on Doom 1+2 which imports the weapons and enemies into it. They just need to import the level structures.
Yeah, I guess remake them. I did really need it, though.
Which that's the easy part to do, quite honestly. All the hard work's been done. So yeah, Doom 2, definitely a big recommendation from me. And while we're at it, because we have been posting it, there are so many good remixes of the music in this game.
Yeah.
In various different formats, whether you want to go the Duke route. There is a Goose Honk version of E1M1.
Oh God, of course.
I swear I've posted that before in the LMC chat.
You probably have.
But we're not going to subject you to that one. Might be subject you to Doot.
Might be in the background.
Maybe we should get some of the, because there's been overclock remixes for both Doom 1 and Doom 2. Maybe we should put that in.
Oh yeah,
they're very good. Mind you, the Doom 2 soundtrack, Doom 1 and Doom 2 soundtracks take very heavy influence from metal tracks from around the time. Like, you can pull out riffs from some of them. So yeah, enjoy some music. All right, game number 8. This one is... So, I'm kind of including the original game and its remake in this, because they are technically different games, but based on the same thing. But the original version of this is probably one of the best gifts I've ever had from anyone. So thank you, Dusk. But yeah, I've spent so many hours combined into these games, and I've 100%ed the Rebirth version of this twice technically, because I 100%ed it, and then they brought out new achievements with a new expansion, and I had to 100% it. And literally just before we started recording this, they announced, oh hey, we're bringing out a free expansion for online co-op that will include new achievements.
Okay.
That require the online co-op, so I need to find someone to play with me. But that is probably one of the best known indie hits, which has a bit of a love-hate relationship with people. The Binding of Isaac.
Yes.
So this game was originally a Flash game, released by the Team Meat guys, I think. But later on got a rebirth into a proper engine of its own, from Nicholas, I think it was called, the studio. And it's been getting updates year on year. The rebirth is coming up to its 10th anniversary soon. Or by the time this is out, probably has already had it. But what is The Binding of Isaac? It is a roguelike game based on the dungeon structure of the original Legend of Zelda, where you play a crying child whose tears can kill enemies.
It's also a top-down shooter-ish kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of twin-stick shooter, except you could only put the stick in 4 directions.
Unless you get some power-ups.
There are power-ups that allow you to do that, and also kind of like you can make them go in diagonals with momentum, basically. But yeah, it's based on, unsurprisingly, the Bible tale of the Binding of Isaac, but slight twist. Instead of his father not wanting to sacrifice his kid, his mother is instead pretty sure that the voices from above are telling her, murder your child, and she is all for it. So yeah, you play Isaac, who is trying to escape his mother trying to kill him, basically. Yeah,
because I'm trying to remember, when was was there another kind of update to the graphics, or was that the update in? So
from the Flash version to the new engine version was a graphic change from kind of the sketchy style, which a fair few people prefer, and originally I definitely preferred as well, to pixel art. Each expansion kept tweaking the graphics. I wouldn't say updated them, but they would change certain graphics to make them clearer and such. So they have done graphical updates, and supposedly the multiplayer update will include some more graphical updates to make things clearer.
Yeah, it's somewhat confusing to me every so often, where I kind of look at an update and I go, wait, is this a brand new version of the game or something?
Yeah, one of the weird things as well is some of the graphical updates don't implement until you buy the DLC, which is a little bit odd. But my other advice for this is, if you do enjoy the game, buy the base game first, don't buy it with all the DLC, because as soon as you buy the DLC, it makes the game harder automatically.
Yes, I'm trying to remember if you can activate or because some games you can sort of selectively choose.
I think the problem with this one is, once you have a save with the new update, you can't go back, really. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I've played the game with all of its current DLC. The new one is supposed to be a free update rather than DLC, but I mean, there's so much to the game now. There are so many playable characters, so many hidden secrets.
In Steam, it's like the Binding of Isaac, and it's like, you've unlocked 54 out of 99 achievements for Binding of Isaac Rebirth. You have unlocked 72 out of 637.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, like almost every single one of those achievements comes with something it unlocks in the game, and even then, that's probably not all of the unlockables.
So yeah, it's like if you play the game 10 times, you unlock this item. If you die 20 times, you unlock this item. Beating a certain boss will unlock certain items. Then sometimes they just appear in the store once and you have to buy them, and then they become unlockable on the ground everywhere. And
yeah, it's one of those things. There's so much to the game now, and like with the recent update, the most recent DLC, Repentance, actually added in one of the biggest fan-made mods to make it canon, which was a mod called Anti-Birth. But that adds basically a whole new set of floors, ending conditions, loads of new bosses, added 2.5 new characters, let's call it. I say 2.5 because one of them was a character called Bethany. The other one was a character called Jacob and Esau, which were two characters you played at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And here's the thing, right? When the mod was announced, it was like 2+ new characters, and it was like, okay, so it's the two from the mod, Bethany and Jacob and Esau. I can see why they've said 2+. And then we found out, it's like, oh no, there's more. So what? It's like, there's more. How can you have more? And then I found out how they had more, and I was like, Edmund, you bastard, I know you said you were going to double the size of the game. Fuck you, you actually did it.
Yeah, so I've got the trailer on at the moment. It's 130 plus new items, 2+ new playable characters, the true co-op, hundreds of remade sprites, hundreds of achievements, plus 5,000 new rooms, 100 new unlockables.
Yeah.
It's like...
It, and the thing is, already before that point, it was a behemoth.
It's impressive to say that you've got a game and you just keep adding to it, and it's like, I mean, sure, it can make it feel like if you're starting with the game and keep going with it, it's not too bad. But if you jump in at this point now, you kind of go, oh my god,